Hi, Justin, Natasha. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ryan.
Good.
I'm doing great. How are you?
How you
I'm
doing?
doing well. Thank you.
Cool.
This is definitely a pleasure. I enjoyed the movie. I just watched it yesterday. It was everything, I hoped it would be. A great twist at the end, a good plot, good acting. The locations that you guys filmed, the house was just great. I got to ask you, Justin, where did this concept originate from?
So the concept came about from our co-creator partner here, who's not here, Sam Rosemy, and basically he had an alarm system that was kind of on the fritz, right? It was
Yeah,
like giving him motion detected alerts at like a garage that was converted to the office, and it would happen at like 3 in the morning, and that's scary, right? You know what I mean? And he's living in Hollywood, and there's people milling around out there,
yeah,
so it's very conceivable that somebody was there. So it was such a scary, basic idea. It's like motion detected. Is there someone there or is there not? Right. And anyone who has an alarm system understands that that would cause you a little bit of, maybe not panic immediately, but definitely some attention. And then we were trying to think of it in the context of a smart home, right? So how does that affect the smart home? And then I'm a sci-fi fan, so I was like, well, how can we kind of bring in this more AI sci-fi element to it too? And then it just evolved from a simple, probably a bad terminal on a window or a door that
yeah.
ended up being like there's evil AI out to murder you and manipulate you and cause paranoia and PTSD. So, you know, it
Well, I
was
think
our own rabbit hole.
the location, the house that you filmed in, I thought fit in really well. How did you go about finding that location?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. So we're filming during COVID, right? And that has its own sets of challenges and film permitting and all that stuff that was a big hassle. But what we thought was going to be easy was to get one of these mega McMansions somewhere in Beverly Hills that are primarily used for high-end rentals, and Airbnb was like dead at that time. Everyone was like, no. So where do we go from there, right? So what happened was we had a location manager look at a couple of places, and there were two people who lived in that house, and they occasionally rented it out. And so we went to look at it, and at first we're looking for like floor to ceiling windows, very modern, that would probably have a smart home technology. This house did not seem like it would have its own smart home technology, right? Um, but when we went there, the character in the place really became its own production design, right? And actually, what we had to do for like rights and clearances reasons is we basically had to remove about half of the artwork. So what you're seeing on film is like half of what that place had in decorations, right? The PDF booklet of the entire art collection was like 20 pages, and we had to reach out to each one through, with the location manager, be like, and in fact, some of it, there's like, I don't know, there's a picture of a naked woman behind the altar that we ended up having to blur some stuff out in hindsight because it was like Apple won't allow that on the trailer, right? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
so yes, it's definitely its own character.
for sure. It was great. It just fit the plot. It's just so it's funny how some of those things like work out so well when they're not intended to. And then Natasha, I know you filmed a lot. Most of the movie you were by yourself, so you're kind of um, acting by yourself. I know a lot of times when we're left alone, we kind of speak out loud, maybe interact with certain items, in the house. And you did that most of the film, except when you talked to your husband via FaceTime. What was that like? How did you? That seems like it'd be very difficult. How did you go about preparing yourself for that?
It was a challenge, but it was a very welcomed challenge. I definitely love working with other actors
Yeah,
because, it's just it's the energy aspect, it's
yeah,
you're working with another actor, your characters, and you're just in a scene and you're speaking these words and suddenly it comes to life and it's real. And definitely for me, it was a lot of just having to use my imagination, you know, and it's just kind of also just letting myself go and just, okay, where am I going with this? I just wanted to do it the most natural way possible. And Eva is also going through a lot of her issues. And how do I integrate that into my reality? So I think at some point it's just, you know, and this happened at the beginning. I became Eva. So
Yeah.
I was living like her. I was, you know, I was going home after filming, and I'm not going to say that I was doing everything that she was doing, but it's just, I
Yeah.
wouldn't break character. And I couldn't break character. And people were just getting so tired of me not being able to break character. But it's just, I think it's also, it was very necessary in order to tell the story organically, authentically, and through Eva's lens.
Hmm.
So really it was just me going home, interacting with objects in my own house, and just also I was actually pretty lonely that during that time, because it was we were filming during COVID. So I was actually home alone, and then stuff started happening to me while I was home alone. And you know, it just worked out beautifully. And I mean, if I wasn't breaking character, there was something that was happening in the house, like in my house, and you know, things that just give me goosebumps, or I would have nightmares. And it's just like I was Eva for the time that we shot Motion Detected. I was her. So definitely, that's how I pulled it off.
And some of Eva's backstory, isn't that kind of, because I had read somewhere that you were originally from Mexico, and so isn't some of her backstory kind of part of your backstory in a way, is moving to the United States?
So I am a Mexican, and I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
So I grew up in San Diego, but then I moved to Mexico City
Okay.
about 10 years ago. So I still have my place in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
San Diego, and Mexico City.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's just kind of like a lot of back and forth, but definitely Eva's reality is very her roots, more like.
Mhm.
Also, one of the character pieces that we built in, we had an opportunity to work with Natasha on another project and just enjoyed working with her so much that we wanted her for this, and then having her live in Mexico City, we wrote that into the character. So it was very organic that way.
You know, and I really enjoyed the Hispanic culture that was brought into the film. I know a lot of times, there was subtitles in there, which made it more, when you're speaking Spanish, with Miguel, it was more authentic, and I think that was one of my favorite parts about this film, was that it just felt the realism was there, and I really felt, um, I could just feel I couldn't imagine what it would be like to come from another country and then move into a house, and then on top of that have this alarm system that's pretty much taking over your lives. So, a good job with that. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty organic
Yeah.
for me to just interact with Carlo Mendez, who was Miguel. And, you know, just working with him was just so easy. And also, you know, just integrating, you know, my culture into this film in a way that's not like stereotypical was really great.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just, like you said, organic.
Yeah. That was great. And I had also, did you and Justin work on a short? I don't recall the name, but I think I read somewhere both of you had worked on a short together. I think it was called Break In. I think Break In was the name of it.
Yeah, it's called Break In. And the funny thing about it is, she was playing like a hostage. So she doesn't have any lines. She's got a lot of kind of moaning through through a gag.
Yeah.
I
But
remember.
it was more just working with her, right, and getting to know her on set, and that she just was so game to do it. I think we knew that this ridiculously massive undertaking we were going to ask someone to do, we should at least know that the person is somewhat game before we approach them,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? And so she obviously was, and proved herself like 1,000 times over that she was willing and capable to do this. And it was a grind. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done working.
Yeah. And where do you know where we can find this short at for our audience if they wanted to check it out? Do you know if it's any on these
Yeah,
streaming?
you know what? I just posted it to my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, so you can check it out. I can send you the link after this if you like.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll link it in the description. They can check it out.
Because
And
there are, it turns out there's a ton of other pieces called break-in.
Oh,
I
really?
bet.
Yeah. Well, so the idea with that was a proof of concept that was going to be kind of more of an internal type of piece. And it wasn't supposed to be like audience facing, but we received such good reaction from the very limited amount of places that we sent it to, like the Austin Film Festival, where it won like the audience award, and we just kind of sat on it. And the reason is because we wrote a feature script and we were looking for financing. We thought we had some deals on the table, and it kind of fell through. But meanwhile, we were doing motion detected, so we kind of backburnered it, and we weren't directing that one. It was this other guy, Anthony Nardolio, and he's also who introduced us to Natasha. Sorry, this is a long tangent. But anyways, just recently I was like, you know what, let's just get it out there. Why not? So I put it out on YouTube just to have it for this exact reason, right? Fans of the genre are looking for content. So here's some more
Yeah.
content.
Awesome. Yeah, we're scavengers. We like that stuff.
I know, it's great. No, I love it. It's such a good
Yeah.
fan base.
And Natasha, what's your favorite horror films? Are you actually into horror? Because sometimes actresses they'll star in a thriller or a horror film and they really don't like them too much.
Oh no, I am a big horror fan. Always have been, always will be. So for me, this was right up my alley. So I mean, this is not the first horror project I've done, but I have to say, I enjoy the genre so much. I just have so much fun with it. And going back to original question, which are my favorite scary movies? Okay, I would definitely have to say Ari Aster's Hereditary is one of my favorites. The original Exorcist is also an all-time fave. There's one that came out, I think it's 2022, Smile. I thought that one was.
Yeah.
Also, I think a really great, like, gory one would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I can just,
Go
go
on and
on
on. Yeah.
list. But yes, you will definitely catch me watching a scary movie at 1 a.m. on a Friday night. So
That is awesome.
Awesome.
What about you, Justin? Do you have any favorite, scary movies that you've seen recently, or that's something you might go back to yearly?
For me, it's The Shining. And I think, his descent into madness is a model we used for Natasha, right? And so that gave us a lot of support in like how do we build this out? But that, to me, that movie is amazing. And yeah, there's a lot of like gallons of blood in it, but it's not such one of those like Saw gory movies that I sort of shy away from. I'm definitely more on the psychological of it. And then a more recent film is like The Invisible Man. Like, I really liked that movie, and it had a lot of parallels with what we were doing at almost the exact same time we were doing it, right? And it was kind of this convergent evolution because I watched that film and I was like, oh my gosh, we did some of the same things
Yeah.
here, right? And so I really like that one.
Natasha, one more question for you. What was the most difficult scene that you had when you were filming this film? Was there something that really just stood out as being difficult, or did everything come pretty naturally?
everything was I think everything had its own challenge, its own set of challenges. But I think that probably the most challenging uh, scene for me was falling in the pool, because we did that when it was pretty late. So the pool was also very cold. And
Oh,
I mean, it was great. But I just get cold so easily. So, and it's just like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. So you really have to hype yourself up to do like physical scenes. For me, going into Eva's mind, like a psychological aspect, yes, like feeling everything that she's feeling and just like going, it's that descent. She's going down the rabbit hole.
yeah.
And I mean, for me, that was pretty awesome, just being able to really bring, Eva's mind, to life. So the audience could see that. But for me, it's like more like the physical scenes
Yeah.
that yeah. So I mean, but I think, like I said, every scene had its own challenge, because we were very tight on time, on budget, and working very, very long hours well into the night. So yeah, so basically that. But everything, I mean, was just so much fun to film. You're filming at 3 a.m. and you're still having a great time, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want this to end, but your brain is like, no, it has to end. And then and then your body is like, no, I don't want it to. I'm having a blast.
That's amazing having that energy, so early in the morning still. Because I'm sure the shoot was fairly short. I'm just guessing. How many days were you guys able to shoot for?
I think it ended up being 15 days, but it was
Okay.
15 days straight. So it was very intense.
Can you tell me what you guys are working on now? If you can talk about that, we'll go with you, Natasha, first.
Sure. What I'm working on now is I actually just wrapped two films, one in Los Angeles, one in Mexico City, and I'm also going to start working on a series here in Mexico City. So that's where I'm at right now.
For me, just going back to what I said about that film Break In, that's a script that we've written that we could put a little more energy behind now, and work on that. Otherwise, got some other ideas in development, and just continuing to keep going.
That is awesome. And I hope that, Break-In does turn into, maybe a feature film like you discussed, because there's just something about like, alarm systems and just someone breaking into your home. Like, I've never had a break-in personally. I've had people on my property, and I've woke up the next morning and saw it on camera, and just that alone is just freaky. So I couldn't imagine someone actually entering your home or even your vehicle and just being in there. It just would creep me out. So those are really hit. Those are going to hit. Those are the types of things that really hit those nerves.
Well, let me tell you, the kind of log line for Break-In is that we are on the side of the thief, and he breaks into the wrong home, and it
Oh,
turns out he's broken into the home of a serial killer who returns and finds someone in her house. So
and then another thing I really enjoyed about the film is, like we talked about earlier about the sci-fi part. It was, you had a thriller injected with horror, and then you had a little bit of sci-fi mixed in with it because of the AI. And the ending was a little twist, and I didn't expect it. So that was really cool. I enjoyed it.
I think we were just trying to, you know, have the audience feel a little bit what Natasha was feeling throughout, which is a confusion as to like what is actually real and what's happening, because there's just this constant manipulation by the AI, and she slips into madness, and at the end it's kind of like, wait, what's happening? And then of course,
No, it was good. I mean, I didn't guess it. So all right.
Awesome.
Well, I'll go ahead and end it there. But thank you so much, Justin and Natasha. I hope to get to talk to you two again someday soon. Hopefully,
oh,
we'll be able to work on more projects together. Um, and congratulations. And we'll
Thank
link
you.
everything. And I know everything, it's streaming everywhere from what I understand. So we'll go ahead and throw some links in there, and hopefully, let people, they'll check this film out.
right on. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Ryan.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks, Ryan.
Bye.
Thanks, Justin. Take care.
Okay.